I used to work late shifts at a small-town movie theater, the kind with sticky floors, buzzing lights, and a concession stand that always closed too early. Most nights, I was the one locking up, alone in the echoing dark. It was usually quiet, until the night I saw him. It started with laughter, not the warm kind, not real laughter. This was sharp, metallic giggles, too thin, too deliberate. At first, I thought it was a recording. The wiring in that place was ancient. Strange sounds weren't new, but this wasn't muffled. It wasn't through walls. It was behind me. I turned, flashlight trembling in my hand, and there he was. A clown. He stood at the end of the corridor where the poster cases lined the wall. His suit wasn't colorful, no. It was faded gray, like it had soaked up dust and time. His face paint was smeared into a permanent grin, the red stretched wider than it should have. He didn't move, didn't blink, just smiled. "Sir, the theater's closed," I said. He tilted his head, slowly, like a curious animal. I blinked, and he was gone. I searched the whole building, every theater, every exit, nothing. I told myself it was stress, exhaustion, but the next night proved me wrong. When I shut off the final projector, the screen didn't go dark. Instead, it flickered, and a shadow appeared, tall, bent. The clown's outline. And then came the laughter again, chasing me down the empty aisle. I ran, but when I burst into the lobby, I froze. Every movie poster had changed. Each one showed the same thing. A clown's painted face, smiling wide. Eyes, two black voids. And no matter where I moved, they watched me. I tore one down. Behind it was another, and another, layer after layer of endless paper smiles. I left them there. The following week, I begged for day shifts, but even in daylight, I saw him. In the reflection of the popcorn machine, in the flicker of the projector's reel. Always watching. The worst was the night the office phone rang. I answered, and instead of a voice, laughter. That same jagged sound. I slammed the receiver down, but the line kept ringing. When I ripped the cord from the wall, the phone still rang. That was my breaking point. I quit the next morning. But the clown didn't stay behind. Last night, I woke up to that same laughter, echoing faintly down my hallway. My bedroom door was cracked open, and in the glow of the streetlight, I saw a figure standing, still, silent, head tilted. He doesn't need the theater anymore. He's found me. And the worst part, I can feel the corners of my mouth pulling upward, stretching wider each night, smiling when I don't want to, smiling when I wake up, like the paint is already on my skin, like the clown is inside me now.
I should have known something was wrong, the moment the crucifix bent in my hand.
It was 1978. Lorraine and I were called to a farmhouse in Hartford. The family's father had changed. Violent, muttering in voices that weren't his, slipping into trances so deep, his pulse almost stopped. The priest had tried the rites, but fled before finishing. That's when they called us. When we entered, the man sat at the kitchen table. He didn't look at us. He only whispered to the wall, as if someone invisible stood there. Lorraine gripped my arm, her voice shaking. He isn't alone. I began the prayers. The walls rattled. Lights flickered. The air grew so heavy, every breath burned in my chest. The man's eyes rolled back, black voids, glossy and endless. And then, he smiled. Not his smile. Something else was wearing him. Multiple voices spilled from his mouth. He belongs to us. The crucifix bent in my grip. Shadows slid across the ceiling, long, grasping hands reaching for us. One wrapped around Lorraine's throat, lifting her into the air. I forced the prayers louder, but then something else appeared. From the corner, a woman emerged. Her dress torn, her skin pale as wax, her eyes empty sockets, dripping black. She floated behind the man, one hand resting on his shoulder, like a bride clinging to her groom. Lorraine gasped. That's not just a spirit, it's his wife. She died here, and she's keeping him. The man's head snapped toward me, his jaw unhinged, too wide. A scream tore from his throat. The ghost woman's mouth opened too, but her scream was wind. Cold, violent, shattering glass, extinguishing every light. Darkness swallowed us whole. Claws tore across my back, hands closed around my throat. Lorraine's voice screamed my name, but then it broke off. Then low, trembling tone. When the lights returned, the man was gone. So was Lorraine. On the table, carved into the wood, was one word. Taken. I searched the house, every corner, every shadow. Her voice echoed faintly, but never close enough. Then, I saw her. Not Lorraine. The bride. Standing where Lorraine had stood, wearing Lorraine's face. So I smiled. I knew the truth. I hadn't saved Lorraine. I had given her to them. And now, she's theirs. If any such thing has ever happened to you, and if you want that to be shared with the world through our channel, email us your story at... They call it the Raven of Baltimore. Not the one from poetry, not the one in books. This one is alive, and it waits. On stormy nights, when the harbor is drowned in mist, a black raven lands on the roof of the oldest warehouses. Its feathers drip like black oil. Its eyes burn like dying embers. Locals say if you hear its cry 3 times in a row, never look outside your window. Because it isn't just a call, it's a choice. In 1973, a dock worker named Harris ignored the warning. He heard the raven cry. Once, twice, 3 times. Then he opened his window and whispered, "Show yourself." The next morning, his body was found tangled in the harbor nets, but his eyes were gone. Only 2 black feathers left on the sill. And to this day, When the raven returns, Baltimore falls silent, because someone new has been chosen. Tell me, did you just hear it call?
I grew up in a small town where stories traveled faster than the wind. But one story always made my skin crawl. The tale of the Weeping Witch. They said, if you ever heard crying outside your home at night, you must never, ever open the door. I never believed it, not really, until last winter. It was a freezing night. The kind of night where silence feels heavy, like it's pressing against your chest. I had just turned off the lights when I heard it. A woman sobbing. It came from right outside my window. At first I thought, maybe a neighbor, maybe someone lost. But my house stood at the very edge of town. There were no neighbors, not for half a mile. The crying grew louder, longer, as though she wanted me to hear. I leaned closer to the window. My breath fogged the glass. And then the crying stopped. The silence was worse. In the reflection, not outside, but behind me, I saw her, a pale woman, hair dripping wet, her face hidden by strands that clung to her skin, her dress soaked as though she'd been dragged from a river. And her shoulders shook as she cried, soundlessly, inside my room. I turned. No one was there, only shadows. But then, the sobbing started again. Not outside anymore. This time, it came from the hallway. Step by step, the sound crept closer. Every broken breath, every wet gasp echoing down the walls. It reached my bedroom door. And then, silence. I pressed my ear to the wood. Nothing. Until I heard her voice. Harris, why did you leave me there? The doorknob turned. I shoved the dresser against the door and curled in the corner, praying for dawn. But the crying didn't stop. All night. Sometimes soft, sometimes sharp, like laughter twisted into sobs. When morning came, the hallway was empty, but the floorboards were wet, as though someone had been standing there, weeping all night. And now, every night since, just after midnight, the crying returns. Always closer, always louder. And I know one day, when I'm too tired to fight, I'll hear her inside the room again. But last night, it changed. The crying didn't wait until midnight. It started earlier,
just after sunset. And this time, when I pressed my ear to the door, I didn't hear her voice. I heard mine, sobbing on the other side. So now, I'm not sure if I'm still the one inside this room. If any such thing has ever happened to you, and if you want that to be shared with the world through our channel, email us your story at cursedchain1@gmail.com.